What's going on, guys? So behind me is my homemade coal forge, which I've actually only done one other video about in the past. And that video was just the general construction, how I made it, and how I made it incredibly portable for what it is. That video actually became the most popular video on my YouTube channel, so I figured I'd do a couple more videos about using this forge. Today's topic is going to be how to light, build, and maintain a coal forge fire, which there's actually a skill set in that of itself. One of the most common errors people make when they build their own coal forge is they try and build up their coal fire too fast. They don't allow the heat to build. What they end up doing is they just adding more fuel, add more fuel, create a ton of smoke. It creates an inefficient burn, and the rest of the coal has trouble lighting itself. So the trick to doing this is what I recommend. So the trick to lighting a coal fire is to start small. What I have is a box of kindling as well as some newspaper to get the kindling on fire. I start with a small wood fire directly in the fire pot. I start introducing a little bit of air, and I allow that fire to build and heat up slowly. And then once I get a decent amount of embers and a hot enough temperature fire, then I start introducing coal, and I slowly add more coal and slowly add more coal and gradually build that fire. If you add too much fuel, the fire won't be able to handle it. You're going to start suffocating the fire, you're going to get a ton of smoke, and it's just an inefficient burn. And there's actually a chance of it going out. So let's get started, and hopefully you can learn a thing or two. Whenever you're working around your coal forge, always a good idea to get in the habit of wearing safety glasses. So let's start this fire. The first thing I'm going to do is grab a small piece of newspaper, put it in the center of the fire pot. I'm going to get some thin kindling ready to go here, which I think I'm all set. Light a match. Get my newspaper going. We'll put this small kindling on here. So now that my fire is established, I'm going to start introducing a little bit of air. If you add air when the fire is too young, what will happen is you'll end up putting the fire out. Okay, so now that I have a decently established wood fire, now I'm going to slowly start introducing some coal. Again, don't add too much coal too fast. You want to build your fire up slowly. So now we have a decently established coal fire. Some of the techniques you'll notice that I was using with my rake tool is from time to time, if I saw a lot of smoke coming from one corner of the fire pot, I'd take my rake tool, kind of jab it in there and try and open up a pocket where some oxygen from our hand crank blower could kind of get through that channel. And as soon as I opened up a channel, then that dark smoke kind of turned into flame, therefore heating the fire faster. So So on my homemade coal forge, I don't have a device called a clinker breaker. And a clinker breaker normally sits right below the bottom of the fire pot. And it could be one of many things. It could be a triangular thing that rotates. It could be a smashing thing. I know, very accurate. But what those things in the bottom of the fire pot are designed to do is break up items called clinkers. When you burn this coal, you get a byproduct that turns into a metallic substance like this, and we call it a clinker because normally if you have a clinker breaker and it falls down your ash chute, it'll make a clinking sound. So because I don't have a clinker breaker, I need to clear those out manually. And normally I'll clean them out by hand after I've used my coal forge and I've allowed it to cool sufficiently. But when it's actually burning from time to time, one will form near the bottom of the fire pot where my air comes up into the fire pot, and it will actually limit the amount of heat that I get out of the pot if I don't do anything about it. So in order for me to correct that from time to time, I need to take my fire pot tool and come down here at the bottom and just kind of rake this up a little bit. And as you can see, what actually happened there is when I took my fire pot tool and jabbed down in there and opened up new pockets, you could see little spurts of air pop out and maybe a little bit of ash and a little bit of fire. And that's because possibly a clinker was starting to form or the coal was starting to bind together and it wasn't allowing sufficient access for the oxygen to come up through the fire pot. So I'd like to say I'm not an expert on maintaining coal fires. It took me a while to learn how to properly do this, and the only way for you to learn is go out there and practice. And I think with this video, I think I've given you some good sound tips on how to go about building a coal fire gradually, evenly, and having an efficiently burning fire and not introducing too much smoke to your neighbor's yard. And that pretty much concludes today's video on maintaining a blacksmith's coal fire. Hopefully you learned something. If you have something else you'd like to add, or maybe there's something I missed, or you have a question, feel free to leave it in the comments section down below. I'm sure between me and the community out there, we could either answer it or find a better way to do things. So thanks for watching, and subscribe for more.